Hey guys, welcome back. So far we have created only two tests and both of them are for new booking. So we know that in the bookings application, there are many more booking endpoints like for get booking, create booking, update booking, partially update booking and delete booking. So let's go ahead and add more methods for these different kind of endpoints. Now we know that if you want to do put or patch or delete booking, then we would also need authentication tokens for it to work, right? So maybe creating an authentication token is the first thing that we can target in this particular video, and then we can add more endpoints in the next video, right? So for to be able to do that, let's first go ahead and open booking API, and in fact, let's open the explore booking API.http and let's open it in the right pane. So I'll close this, and as we can see, this is also like any other endpoint. It has a body, it has a content type, different endpoint, and based on this endpoint, we get a authentication token. So if I run this, this is how it gives us a token response. So let's follow the same approach that we followed for designing booking API endpoint. So let's create a new package. And since authentication is something that is common for the whole application, we will create a package in the root repository. So we will call it as package auth token. And let's copy the booking API, auth token, paste. And let's call it as auth API because the endpoint is auth. And we can leave, so let me see if I can move it here. Okay, let me close these two. So we will let the content type as application JSON. In fact, the response is also a JSON object, so we can also leave this like this. The base URL remains the same. The body would be different. The post endpoint would be auth. So let's copy and change this. And in this particular case, we know that RESTful Booker application only provides us with one username and one password. So there are not too many usernames or passwords. So only for this particular use case, I will provide the body as a part of this particular method, and I will not accept it as a input, right? But in a real life application, normally what will happen is that there will be different kind of scopes and users available. So for example, a guest user might not be able to delete bookings. An admin user might be able to, for example, delete booking, and a maintainer might be able to do certain things which are somewhere in between a guest and an admin user. So in a real production like situation, you will accept scoping information. So instead of body, you will accept a scoping information, right? But for now, for this particular test case, I will just go ahead and create a body inside the method, and then we will refactor this particular API to make it more production-like, where it will accept scopes and it will give you authentication tokens depending on the role of the user, right? So for now, it's okay. Let's leave it like this. We also need a body copy. So let's copy the class and let's put it here. And I will call it as auth body. And this auth body will have a username and it will have a password. Let's delete other fields. Let's also delete this non-useful methods. Let's put it as set password, and let's call it as set username. Let's remove the whole thing, and ideally you will not, for example, so normally in your test framework, we will not provide our secrets directly into the code, but for now I just want to first see if this works or not. So I will provide the username and password here, and once it is working, then we will refactor all these secrets and we will take it from a config class. We don't want to log this information, so we will remove this. And in fact, this is not booking body, this is not auth body, right? So this is our auth body class, and this is the method which will provide as a valid instance of auth body. So if I go back to auth API, we can actually have auth body here, and we can say auth body is equals to auth body and get a instance, right? And now I could pass this auth body here. Again, I'm iterating. In a normal production like situation, you will not get the auth body as a as a part of this method, because with this auth body you will only get a specific auth token, and to be able to test with different kind of scopes like the guest user, admin user, maintainer user, you would want to pass the scope information into this method. But we have not come to that point so far. So for now we will just try to first make it work, and then in the future videos we will try to make it better. And instead of response, in fact, let's see if we can directly get the token. So I will say response equals to this, and then let's also add a log statement here. So add slf4j, and I will say log info, and I will say token, and the token would be response dot body dot json path get string, and the name of the token is actually token, right? So this is what we will put here, and extra bracket, remove it, log info. So that's it, and now we want to return the token, right? So I'll copy the whole thing, return the token. So let's just first go ahead and see if this thing works or not. So if I go to, let's say, booking test, and if I create a new test here, alt insert test method, test token, right? And if I, at this moment, I'm not writing any assertion. All I'm going to do is I'm going to call this auth API and get token method, which will log the token for me. And if it logs the token as a string, then we know that we will be able to make use of it in our put, patch, and delete methods. So let's see how it goes. Bad credentials, okay. Admin password 123. Why is it bad credentials? So it takes the, yeah, so, okay. So the reason it was giving bad credentials was I have actually reversed the username and password. So let's go back to our auth body and let's change this. In fact, set username should come first, set password should come next, and this is admin and this is password 123, right? So let's just go ahead and run it again. And this time we do get a valid token, and we can also get the token as a string. So with this, our Auth API is providing us a valid token, and now we should be able to consume that token in the booking API. So let's create another method and let's see if we are able to consume that token or not, right? So let's make another static method called update booking. This will again accept booking body, and let's see how it looks. So if I go to, maybe let's first do a post booking, and then let's do a put booking again. So in the put booking, it has accept application JSON. We have this. It has content type as application JSON. We also have this. The only different thing is it has cookies with authentication token. So let me make a comment here. And what we need to do is we need to add a new cookie type, and let's call it as token. Let's copy token, and we need to provide the token value. So auth API dot get token will give us the token. Now, one thing which I want to mention over here is, like I said when I was building this auth API class, that with this implementation, we have actually tied our test to only one type of authentication tokens, right? So let me put a to-do note here, and this to-do note will say this method is tied to a specific auth token, and you can say user type slash scope type, right? For your test to be flexible, your methods should be auth agnostic, right? So refactor this method or class later, right? So what I'm saying is, ideally, if you want to test your application, you should be able to test this application with, let's say, a guest token type. And with a guest token type, you should not be able to update a booking, right? But my approach in this whole tutorial is first make it work and then make it better. So for now, we're just trying to make it work based on whatever information you've got. And then in the future videos, we will try to refactor it and make it more flexible and make it more production ready. Let's also copy this remark, and let's make a to-do task over here. So I will say make API methods scope user role agnostic, so that same API can be tested with different auth roles, right? Slash scopes. So this is an important one. So let's go back. But for now, this should work. So we have everything. We have the booking body. The endpoint remains the same, I believe. Yes, but we also need to provide a booking ID with this endpoint. So you can actually say, like as a very ugly implementation, you can actually say provide a booking ID also. And if I call it as string booking ID, so this method should accept a booking body and it should accept a booking ID that it wants to update, right? So let's just go ahead and create another test, a very basic test without doing any sort of optimization, just to see if this works fine or not. So let's go to booking test and let's create a new test in which we will try to do both. First a post, and then we will try to update that particular booking. Assert that a user can create and update a booking, right? And again, I'm iterating. This is not how I would write test, but we are first just trying to see if it works or not, right? So we are getting a booking body, we are getting a response. Once we get the response, we want to capture the booking ID, right? So let's say booking ID, and from response body JSON path get string, we will get the booking ID. So let's first run post. Let's see how it looks. So if I run the post call, the name of the booking ID is booking ID. So with this, we will get a booking ID. And before we pass the booking body to the put call, I'm making a copy of the same thing again. So let's call it as now update this booking. Again, I'm saying it, this is not how I will write test. This is just for demo purposes, right? So let's call it as response update. And in this case, in arrange, what I'm going to do is, let's also put the arrange part here. And in the arrange, I'm actually going to update the same booking body, and I'm going to say set first name, and I'm going to put my brother's name here, for example. And this is not new booking now, this should be update booking, and it accepts a booking body and it accepts a booking ID. And with this, if everything goes well, we should be able to update the booking, and we should be able to see the response in the updated booking. And by the way, the call would not be post, but it would be put. So let's change this as well, put. And if everything is fine, this should work fine. So let's just come here and make it run. Okay, so in the first post call, we have body as Jim Brown. It was okay. The response was 7687. This is where it made a call for auth token post call, and we got the token, and then we used the token value in the put method, and in the put method then we changed the name to my brother's name, and then when we make a call with this token, we can see that the response has now changed the first name, right? So we can see that with this particular implementation, we are able to get a very basic implementation of Auth API, which has got no information about scoping for now. So it's not like a production ready design, but it works for now, right? And we have now API calls, which also contains another method for update booking, which again, by the way, is not at this moment is not scope agnostic, so it can only work for one type of user. We will change that in the future. We have a to-do statement, and in fact, I should also mention that normally what happens in an application is these tokens have got a good amount of like lifespan. So for example, a token should be valid at least for like an hour or so, and normally API tests are fast. So actually, you would also want to create a singleton instance of Auth tokens. And what I mean by this is, ideally, when you are working with your test, and if you have, I don't know, 10, 20, 50 tests, you don't want to create authentication token every time, because one token should be enough to run all your tests, right? So maybe we can also mention this for have singleton instances of Auth tokens um, for your application, right? So this is another thing. Windows 1. This is another to-do statement that we added here. We have one to-do statement added here, and actually we can add one to-do statement here as well, and which would be refactor these tests to make them more readable and efficient, right? There's a lot of code duplication which is going on within this particular test class itself. So we will, in the next videos, we will pick all these topics one by one, and we'll make improvement videos on it. So thank you. See you. Cheers. Bye bye.